Shohei Ohtani doesn't react. He doesn't argue. He doesn't retaliate. In 10 years of professional baseball, from the cold winters of Iwate Prefecture to the sun-soaked dugouts of Los Angeles, Ohtani has built a reputation that goes far beyond his statistics. He is disciplined. He is gracious. He is, by almost every account, unshakable. So when word spread that José Ramírez, the quiet, deadly, respected third baseman of the Cleveland Guardians, had directed sharp, heated words at Ohtani following a tense Dodgers vs. Guardians matchup, the baseball world stopped. Not because of the words themselves, but because of what came next. Ohtani looked back. And in a moment that cameras barely caught, those close to the field say his expression shifted into something rare, something that doesn't show up on a baseball card or a highlight reel. It was determination. Cold, focused, and deeply personal. "I will get revenge," he reportedly told a teammate in the tunnel. This is not just a story about a rivalry. This is a story about what happens when you wake up the one man in baseball who has never needed to be angry, until now. To understand why this moment matters, you have to go back to the game itself. The Dodgers and the Guardians are not traditional rivals. They exist in different leagues, different cities, different baseball philosophies. The Guardians are built on grit, pitching, and the kind of lunch-pail professionalism that Cleveland has always been proud of. The Dodgers are built on star power, payroll, and a championship culture that has been supercharged since Ohtani signed his historic contract. When these two teams meet, it is always more than just an interleague game. It is a collision of two completely different baseball worlds. On this particular night, the tension was visible from the first pitch. The Guardians' pitching staff had clearly come prepared. Their scouting report on Ohtani was aggressive: work him inside, disrupt his timing, don't give him anything comfortable. And for most of the game, it worked. Ohtani was not himself at the plate. He fouled off pitches he normally destroys. He checked his swing twice on counts where he usually commits. The stadium buzzed every time he stepped in, but the Guardians held firm. Their plan was working. Then came the late innings. The Dodgers were trailing by 1 run. The crowd was leaning forward. And Ohtani came to the plate with a runner on second. What happened next is baseball. One swing. One moment. The kind that changes the energy of an entire ballpark. The ball left his bat at a trajectory that made the Guardians' outfielder take 1 step back, then 2, then realize it didn't matter. Gone. Dodgers lead. Stadium erupts. But it was what happened after the game, in the handshake area, in the corridor between the two dugouts, that nobody was prepared for. In baseball, there is an unwritten code. You compete hard, you play to win, and when the final out is recorded, you respect the game and the men who play it. Handshakes happen. Nods are exchanged. Even between rivals, there is a shared understanding that this is a sport built on mutual respect. José Ramírez is known for living by that code. He is not a trash talker. He is not a headline seeker. For years, he has let his bat and his glove do the talking, and both have spoken loudly enough to earn him MVP consideration multiple times. He is the kind of player that even Dodgers fans quietly respect when no one from Cleveland is watching. That is what made this moment so jarring. As the two players crossed paths after the final out, witnesses near the field, coaches, staff members, a handful of reporters positioned near the dugout, say Ramírez directed pointed, profane words toward Ohtani. Not playful chirping. Not competitive banter. Words that had weight behind them. What exactly was said has not been fully confirmed. But multiple sources indicate it was not congratulatory. It was personal. It was sharp. And it was loud enough that Ohtani heard every word clearly. The exact trigger for Ramírez's frustration is still being pieced together. Some believe it stems from a play earlier in the game, a moment at third base where Ohtani's hustle on the base paths may have created friction. Others suggest it was the weight of the loss itself, the feeling of executing a nearly perfect game plan only to be undone by one unstoppable swing. Whatever the cause, the effect was unmistakable. Ohtani paused. He turned. And for a brief moment, the two men, two of the best players on the planet, locked eyes in a way that had nothing to do with statistics or contracts or league standings. It had everything to do with pride. Here is what people who know Ohtani will tell you: his silence is never emptiness. It is storage. When most athletes are provoked, the reaction is immediate. The jawing back. The chest puffing. The social media post. The passive-aggressive interview quote. Baseball has seen all of it. Modern sports culture practically rewards it. Ohtani does none of this. He walked away from Ramírez without a word. He went through his post-game routine, stretching, ice, nutrition, quiet conversation with his interpreter. To anyone watching from the outside, nothing had happened. But those inside the Dodgers organization paint a different picture. A source close to the clubhouse described the atmosphere around Ohtani after that interaction as different. Not tense. Not angry in any visible way. But different in the way that a room feels different when a storm is coming and the sky hasn't changed color yet. It was in that quiet space that Ohtani reportedly spoke his now circulating words to a teammate. "I will get revenge." 4 words. No anger in his voice. No dramatic pause. Said the way a man says something he has already decided, not something he is still figuring out. A statement of fact, not a threat. And that, perhaps, is the most alarming thing about it, if you are on the Cleveland Guardians. To understand what those words mean, you have to understand what drives Ohtani at his core. This is a man who has structured his entire life, his diet, his sleep, his training, his preparation, around a singular goal. Not fame. Not money. Not legacy in the way most athletes think about legacy. Ohtani wants to be the best version of what a baseball player can be. Every day. Without exception. His preparation is legendary even among people who prepare obsessively. He studies opposing pitchers with the focus of a chess grandmaster. He adjusts his swing mechanics between at-bats in ways that batting coaches say they have never seen from another player. His physical maintenance routine, the nutrition, the recovery, the specific exercises tied to specific goals, is more detailed than some professional medical programs. When Ohtani says revenge, he doesn't mean anger. He means preparation taken to a level that the person who doubted him will feel in their bones the next time they share a field. Ramírez lit a fire. The question is not whether Ohtani will respond. The question is when, and in what form, that response will arrive. It would be unfair to tell this story without acknowledging who José Ramírez is and what he brings to this moment. Ramírez did not become one of the most respected players in baseball by accident. He came from Santiago, Dominican Republic, a place that produced toughness before it produced anything else. He worked his way through a minor league system that discards players by the dozens. He rebuilt his swing. He reinvented his approach. He became, against all statistical probability, a perennial all-star who plays with the hunger of someone who was never supposed to make it. His frustration in that post-game moment, whatever its source, did not come from entitlement. It came from the same fire that has driven him for his entire career. He competes the way men compete when they know what it cost them to get there. Some in baseball circles quietly suggest that Ramírez's words, however sharp, were a form of respect in disguise. That when a competitor of Ramírez's caliber directs that kind of energy at you, it is because you matter. Because you affected the game in a way that got under his skin. If that is true, then Ohtani should take it as the highest compliment he received all night. But that doesn't mean he will let it go unanswered. Baseball seasons are long. And they have a way of circling back. The Dodgers and Guardians will share a field again. That is certain. And when they do, every person inside that stadium, whether they know the full story of this moment or not, will feel the weight of something unresolved hanging in the air between these two men. Ohtani will go through his routine that morning the way he always does. Nutrition first. Then movement. Then film. Then preparation so thorough that it borders on the obsessive. He will know Ramírez's tendencies if he faces him on the base paths. He will know the Guardian's pitching patterns if he steps in the batter's box. He will have thought about this game, this matchup, these moments, probably more than anyone realizes. Ramírez will prepare his own way. Focused. Physical. Grounded in the competitive fire that has defined him. And somewhere in the middle of that, a baseball game will break out. The kind that reminds you why this sport still matters, why it can produce a moment in a post-game corridor that carries more electricity than most championships. Strip away the headlines. Strip away the viral clips and the social media speculation. What does this moment actually tell us? It tells us that even at the highest level of the sport, competition is deeply human. That pride is real. That words carry weight between men who pour their lives into this game. It tells us that Ohtani, for all his composure, for all his discipline, for all the carefully maintained image of calm excellence, is not a machine. He is a competitor. And competitors remember. It also tells us something about what the 2025 season could become for both men. Ramírez is in the prime of a Hall of Fame caliber career, playing with a chip on his shoulder that never seems to shrink. Ohtani is in the first chapter of what the Dodgers hope is a dynasty, carrying expectations that would crush most athletes and somehow thriving under their weight. When these two forces collide again, the game will mean something beyond the box score. It always does, when it's personal. The locker room emptied slowly that night. The reporters filed their game stories. The stadium lights went dark one section at a time. Ohtani sat in his corner of the clubhouse longer than most. Not brooding. Not angry. Just present. Thinking in that way he thinks, where the outside world cannot quite reach him. I will get revenge. Not a boast. Not a threat. A quiet promise made to himself, in a tunnel, after a moment that most people in the building didn't fully witness. That is the most dangerous kind of promise in baseball. Because Shohei Ohtani keeps his promises.